Hi everyone, I'm Kevin, here with your weekly crypto news roundup for the EXMO exchange. In today's video, I'm going to dive into 5 juicy topics for you to get you caught up to speed in the crypto space. So if you like what you see today and want to follow along in the future, then definitely subscribe down below. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so the first piece of news I want to cover is how Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is now buying 1.5 times of the amount of Bitcoin being mined. This is really bullish for price, right? Because demand is outstripping the supply being generated by miners after the halving. Based on research being done, they said that they're accumulating Bitcoin up to 150% of the new Bitcoin created since the halving when the emission supply was cut in half, right? And so if you don't know, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is GBTC. That's a ticker symbol. You might have heard of it before. It's similar to ETF, but not quite. But regardless, it's a great way for institutional investors and other traditional traders to get exposure into Bitcoin without going through the process of holding it themselves and dealing with all the custody and things like that. And so there's this chart where Bitcoin being mined is in green, and then the added to Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is orange. That may be why the price has been going up recently. They've been absorbing the supply, and that is really interesting to show that the halving has so far been positive for price action and increasing demand from the traditional markets and institutional side. The next piece I want to cover is an EXMO article, actually, and you can see it from this Bloomberg page if you click Discover More to this page, and lays out a really detailed argument why Bitcoin is looking better and better in this new environment that caused by this pandemic and potential financial crisis per se. So it's a crisis that affects the whole world. The economy is shrinking around the place in the world's most developed nations, and this is causing crazy things like central banks slashing their interest rates to close to zero, and even big figureheads of central banks calling for negative interest rates, which is something crazy that pretty much means that they're going to charge you for holding cash in various banks and institutions, right? That's perhaps coming where the future is headed. And so people like Bitcoin have been drawn to Bitcoin more and more in recent times because of the limited creation aspect and the fixed emission rate that these halving events cut every time. And so that's something that EXMO can help with if you're a trader in like the UK, for example. They have special offer where you can buy and sell Bitcoin for GBP without any fees and trade other assets as well. And also you can see this really interesting chart where there's a correlation matrix, because the point is to get something that's diversified and not correlated with the assets you already have, like stocks, commodities, and traditional markets, right? Bitcoin fits this bill pretty well, and that's something you can check out here. So next up, I want to cover interesting delineation between big Wall Street bank approaches to crypto and Bitcoin. JP Morgan on one hand and Goldman Sachs on the other. Remember the Goldman Sachs client call that we were oh so excited about, and we thought it's going to be bullish. But in fact, they came out with a scathing rebuke of Bitcoin, pretty much telling their clients to stay away from Bitcoin for good because of a lot of reasons like volatility. It's not a good asset. They said a lot of things that were bad. And a lot of people in the crypto space put out their own rebuttal on social media and blog posts and whatnot. But it's interesting to see JP Morgan coming around because, like this article said, they announced that they will provide banking services to big crypto companies like Coinbase, Gemini, other exchanges, and so forth. So this may mean that they're softening their stance on the crypto space and are recognizing that this is the future, opening up their arms to a space that traditionally was underserved by traditional banking institutions, for example. And this is quite interesting because Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, has been a Bitcoin critic, but he did say that he was curious about blockchain and other tech. So we'll see what to make of this, but this is definitely a better view of our industry than what Goldman Sachs put out just a couple weeks ago. Next up, to all the Tezos investors in their ICO out there, are you one of them? Well, in that case, you may be eligible for part of a $25 million settlement because the law firm came out and filed a class action lawsuit against Tezos, and Tezos is looking like they're going to settle rather than continue to fight this out. And this is interesting because the firm Block and Levitin, who were behind the lawsuit, is going to notify qualifying investors that you guys may be able to get a share of the settlement, and visit TezosFoundationSettlement.com to submit your claim. And the settlement was actually proposed by Tezos Foundation themselves, just to kind of put this hassle and drama behind them per se and move forward as a community. Because Tezos price action has been doing very well and outperforming even large caps like Bitcoin lately. And so they're just wanting to ride on that wave and not deal with this anymore, which is good for them, because if their ICO was labeled as a security offering, then that could have a much bigger fine than $25 million. It could get them a fine of up to $150 million. So the financial incentives are set up so that they want to settle, even though they said this was, quote, meritless, and they don't agree with the terms and the accusations at all. So this is quite interesting. And we've seen other entities like Block One for EOS settle as well. So this is yet another one in this trend of former big ICOs settling in advance so that they can just operate in peace. Last but not least, a big news is that crypto mom from the SEC, Hester Pierce, one of her favorite SEC commissioners, is tapped for a second term at the SEC. Now remember, there are 5 commissioners and not just one for the SEC. And her term, in fact, was ending soon. So she was potentially going to look at retirement, but they tapped her for a second term, which means that she would serve through 2025. This is huge news for us crypto fans, because she has been one of the biggest advocates and allies for crypto-friendly policies within the SEC, even pushing her peers to have a more soft stance and accepting stance of a Bitcoin ETF, which we've been waiting for 2 years now and still have not received. So hopefully she can continue to work and convince her teammates that Bitcoin ETF is something that we should embrace and allow to happen, which is good for the public and not going to be something that's harmful or bad per se. So this is something that is very positive. Crypto Mom, welcome back from the crypto community. And these news pieces is all for this week. I'm Kevin for the EXMO weekly roundup of crypto events. I hope you enjoyed this one. As always, please subscribe down below to catch future ones. Next week, I'll be coming back for the weekly recap to get you up to speed in the crypto space. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time.